Hello everyone, Shinto here with some very important news for Warhammer Combat Cards. The developers just released an update previewing the Autumn and Winter roadmap, which will bring about some really major changes to the game over the course of the next few months. Now for a while this game did seem to be stagnating a bit with very little new content, and indeed it has been quite some time before they've really introduced new mechanics or game modes into the game. So far for this year, I think some of the biggest changes have been the regular introduction of Lords of War, these massively powerful and expensive legendary bodyguards, which we now have for every faction, and they are especially useful in the 400-point campaigns that have been becoming more frequent as well. So it's been a lot of fun to see those. Unfortunately, all of them are at the moment locked behind a paywall, so many players don't actually have access to them. But most of the changes that we'll talk about here in the roadmap will affect all players, and there's a lot of really interesting stuff here, including some things that players have been requesting for a long time. Let's break it down, and I'm going to read through and add a few of my own comments as well. So, starting with mechanics. There's a lot to be excited about. We know that the campaign energy system has its flaws, and we're working on a different version of this which should be fair across the board. This will involve giving players X energy daily. The energy refreshes every 24 hours at 12 o'clock UTC. Players will be able to play X times whenever they want within the 24-hour span. We expect that this change alone could worsen the fastest finger scoring issue, so we'll be rolling out a new iteration of the scoring system at the same time. So we did get a preview of this alternate scoring system a couple months ago, I think it was now, and it didn't really go so well, but it did make it so that no two players could end up with the same amount of victory points, which is already, I think, better than what we've had in place ever since the game was released. But yeah, I'm really excited about this change. Being able to play campaigns at your own pace is something that I have been wanting to see for a long time. Moving on, the permanent 400-point game mode is one of our headline features for this period. We've been running an increasing amount of Apocalypse live events, but we want you to always have somewhere to take your biggest armies to war. We'll share more in a dedicated blog post when this is closer to release. So yeah, we've been seeing these 400-point campaigns nearly every week, it seems like. And they are a lot of fun to play. In fact, I think it might be even my favorite type of campaign, is just having 400 points, and especially when everything's at max level, it just all hell breaks loose. And it's a lot of fun to be able to just use all of your biggest, strongest bodyguards at once. So this is really awesome. I'm curious to see how they're going to implement this. I just hope that for this you don't end up having to play a lot more games in this game mode, in addition to the games you already have to play in ranked and campaigns. The other headliner is detachment rules. This is still a way off, so we won't be sharing much on this yet, but we expect it to be the biggest change in the game for a long time. So that's saying quite a bit, because already, I mean, what they're talking about here, revamping the energy system and then adding an entire new game mode, those are massive changes, like bigger than really anything we've seen over the past year, I'd say. So having something even bigger than that is really exciting. In addition, we'll be removing the faction restriction from Warlord rules. This will make mixing factions more effective in casual mode and in mixed faction campaigns, which we have been seeing more of those recently as well. Ranked mode will be unaffected by this change, of course, because you can only play one faction at a time. We'll also be making some improvements to the AI, primarily to make it a bit smarter and give a more compelling game experience. So yeah, this is all really great stuff. The AI has used the same predictable playstyle ever since the game was first released. And once you get an idea of how the AI plays, it's really easy to take advantage of it. And certain Warlord special rules are pretty useless when controlled by the AI as well, like Darkstrider looking at you. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly those changes are. And the faction restriction removal is also pretty important too, because at the moment, certain Warlords special rules don't actually require you to use bodyguards of that faction, whereas others do, so it's just not really fair. But everything will be equalized once this change goes live. Now moving on to visual and quality of life changes. These are a bit more self-explanatory, but we want to tweak how cards are displayed to make more information available on the smaller card you see in battle and in the collection screen. There are also some improvements we'd like to make to the shop, such as adding subtabs to make navigation easier. Finally, we want to make it much easier to tell which cards are available in the general pool. All useful stuff, as long as it doesn't make it more confusing or cluttery. I'm on board with these changes. Speeding up game experience. Now this is really huge, and a feature, I think it's the most requested feature of players of this game ever since the game was first released, and we have not had really anything except for a very minor increase to the game like performance, I think. And also, if you're playing the game on the PC, it does tend to run faster than on mobile, but it looks like they are finally going to make it so that you can speed through games at a much faster rate. So I'm just going to read this for you here. We want you to enjoy your time in Warhammer Combat Cards as much as possible, and sometimes that means speeding up some parts of the game so that you can focus on others. We'll be introducing a skip option for the screen you see when you're receiving cards. This will allow you to skip through the pages and pages you receive, for example at the end of the season, and will present you with a summary screen instead. Likewise, when upgrading a card, we're going to make an option available to upgrade multiple levels at once. The biggest change here, and a long requested feature, is the ability to speed up battles. Whether you're on your break at work and need to get through your battles quickly, or you want to enjoy the animations, you'll be able to play at your own pace. So this is amazing. I think for my gameplay videos that I put on my channel, I think I will still want to include the animations. But I'm very curious if they're just going to have an option to remove the animations entirely. That would indeed speed up the game quite a bit. But it could get kind of confusing as to like where damage and healing and all that is coming from if there are just no animations at all. So I don't know if they're just going to speed up the animations, which is what players have been wanting. But at any rate, the number of games that you have to play just to get through campaigns or to make it to Terra is pretty massive. So this is a hugely beneficial change. Now moving on to the actual content of the game. Yes, there's even more. The key takeaway here is that going forward we'll be aligning our content plans with Games Workshop's Codex releases. You can see in the roadmap how these will shape our Battle Pass plans. We've always pushed ourselves to have the latest minis in Warhammer Combat Cards when they're being released by Games Workshop, and with the huge amount of content they have planned, we're really doubling down on this. So yeah, it does seem that they have been releasing those new cards at about the same time that the new miniatures are coming out. And yeah, I think we've seen that especially this year, like with the new Tyranids that just came out. It was really great to see those enter the game. The one thing that would be nice would be if a few more of those cards would actually be available for free-to-play players, because currently quite a few of those new cards are, again, locked behind a paywall. The items here that will probably grab the most attention are the Supreme Commander releases. That's right, these cards are going to be ownable. They'll be getting a rebalance so they fit in with other cards, but you can probably already see how the new permanent 400-point game mode opens up a lot of opportunities for Supreme Commanders. We'll release these with the Battle Passes celebrating their respective Codex releases, so looking at them again on the roadmap here. Going from the left, we've got Guilliman, and then the Silent King. Those two we have seen in campaigns before. But also Belisarius Cull, who is currently just a bodyguard in the game. Looks like they will be upgrading him to Supreme Commander status, which would be pretty awesome. They kind of did that in the past with Trazen, who used to be just a bodyguard, but then turned him into a warlord, so it'll be really interesting to see what they do with that. Moving on, in the coming months, we're also going to start working with 40k influencers to promote the game. This is something we haven't done before, so keep your eyes peeled. To add a bit of spice to campaigns, we'll be introducing some new modifiers too. So yeah, that's good to hear as well. New modifiers. We haven't had any new modifiers that I can think of. Like ever since they actually first released all the modifiers at once. So excited for that. And then finally in the shop we'll be introducing Combat Patrol Packs, which will mirror the physical Combat Patrol Packs you can buy from Games Workshop. These will be heavily discounted bundles and will unlock slowly for newer players, whilst being available immediately for veteran players. These will also be introduced alongside a change to speed up accumulating deck points and deck slots for new players. So looks like it'll be easier for newer players to progress through the game, but veteran players will also be getting immediate access to these Combat Patrol Packs. I'm very curious to see what those look like. Currently, there is like just a massive amount of content in the shop. Much of it is kind of overpriced, and unless you're a big spender, a lot of those aren't going to be very attractive. So hopefully this will be something that's a little more accessible for just regular casual players. As always, let us know what you think of what you've seen here. We're really excited about the autumn and winter period, and hopefully you've seen something here to be excited about too. Yeah, for sure, man. This is awesome. Like, I am super excited for this. I mean, this is the biggest news we've had in a very long time for this game, so Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.